well, because there is one thing I want to talk about here as well.
Oh, we're live.
Shit.
Intro music. We're live. It's the Brazil Expat Journal. BEJ you can trust. And I'm here with Pete, my co-host, as we talk about life in this great big country called Brazil. And we got a special guest on tonight. Her name is Beverly Horsey. It was tough getting her on, but we got her on. Hello, everybody. What's up?
Cheers. Good evening. Happy Monday.
Happy Monday. Is Beverly on there? Did she get knocked off again?
No, I'm still here. Hello, everyone. I hope all the fathers had a nice Father's Day yesterday.
Oh, yeah. It was Father's Day.
Yeah. I am a father, actually. So,
Well,
not
then
that
happy
anybody
Father's
acknowledged
Day.
that, but I am nevertheless.
Happy Father's Day, Pete.
Thank you.
Belated Father's Day.
Shout out to, what's his boy's name? Owen? Little Owen.
Owen, yeah. Owen's best friend is like one of Phil's #1 subscribers.
And guys, tonight we're going to be talking to Beverly about just long-term expating in Brazil, because she lived here for a long time. She doesn't live in Brazil anymore, but we're just going to get into the story of this wonderful woman's life. She is actually I believe, Beverly, you were either the first or second person I met down here that I befriended. You and John were like around the same time. So we go way back, 2009, 2010. We're just going to have a little bit of fun tonight, talking about her life and just kind of shoot the shit a little bit. I see we got some people already on. Let me say hi to Jeffrey. Oh, yeah, Jeff the man. Love Jeff from the Washington, D.C. area, but always down in Brazil. Real good dude. And so nice to have you listening. Oh, and this beautiful woman, Shyla. Peace and blessings to everyone. Love Shyla. So good to have you guys on joining us. And hopefully we'll just have a very enlightening and fun conversation, because Beverly's a lot of fun. Beverly was already trying to get our ratings up for the podcast by promising to shut around naked.
You weren't supposed to tell that. You weren't supposed to say that.
I know. I should do like a Patreon, the behind the scenes stuff.
Yeah, then they take you off the air. So I want to do that.
Anyway, what I do want to do, is thank everybody that listened to our last broadcast 2 weeks ago. We got a lot of listeners. And Pete, just as I predicted, the hate for Brazil got more views than the love for Brazil. About 50 to 60 more. So, if it bleeds, it leads. People like the horror stories. But I did want to respond to some comments. We're going to do like a little mailbag session or section of the show now, because I don't get a chance to always respond to all the comments, in the actual video, the YouTube video. And we got this message here from Brazil. Yassin, Brazil. He says, I've lived in Brazil for 15 years. And I have that. Oh, sorry, guys. I have very bad experience. I've been robbed more than 3 times. And my family
Only 3?
Yes.
Well, he said more than 3, so God knows how many.
Yes, and my family has been kidnapped. This is crazy. My family has been kidnapped. He just stole money, and it didn't hurt, thankfully. I've had several moments that I was almost attacked in the middle of the street for no reason. That happened to me once, which is really bizarre. At some point, it hit my head. It hurt. Not only bandits, even ordinary people from the neighbor do not return things that I borrow. And when I question this, they are irritated. The worst is that they even steal from poor people. There are many Bolivians and Venezuelans who come to Brazil to work, but end up losing all money by assault. I've heard of cases of immigrants trying to recover money through
Oh, we
prostitution.
should be laughing at this, but
You shouldn't. It's intense, man. I've heard of cases where immigrants trying to recover money through prostitution or slave labor, and many gangsters use these monies to buy drugs and cachaça. Brazilian thinks that violence satisfies all their desires. I became YouTuber to show reality of Brazil to poor immigrants who are coming to Brazil. So, guys, that is intense. But as
that
you asked,
is.
is this guy's channel? I did subscribe to it. I'm going to put it here in the, I believe I did that correctly. I think that's the link to his YouTube channel. So go over there and subscribe to his channel. But yeah, a lot of intense points.
Wow.
Yeah, and I don't doubt it for a second, man.
I don't either.
I didn't get robbed until I came back to the States.
Oh,
But
yes.
then I always kept my mouth shut when I was in Brazil, because if I spoke, then I'd speak with an accent. So then they knew that I wasn't from Brazil. So when I was out in public, especially in sketchy places, I never opened my mouth.
That's
a wise policy.
It is a wise policy. I still kind of use it more or less, depending on where I am.
I was told that I get targeted more than most people because I walk like a foreigner. And I didn't really get what that meant until I started working around Paulista on a regular basis. And I realized that, like, you know, Paulista is like a really busy, high human traffic neighborhood. But people just kind of like move at their own speed. And I walk like I'm trying to get from one place to another. I thought that was such a stupid thing to say, like, you don't walk like a Brazilian. But when I started to think about it, it's like, yeah, I actually walk like I'm trying to get somewhere. Whereas, you know, Brazilians kind of create this like human traffic jam with pedestrian traffic.
Oh man, don't even get me started on that. Where like you get the 5 lines of people like shoulder to shoulder on the sidewalk at lunchtime.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, Brazilians walk very slowly. Although I did read an article maybe last week where they said that people that walk fast have a higher tendency to be depressed or something like that. And I was like, you know what? I don't give a crap what the article says. I just need to get somewhere fast.
Yeah.
But yes, Brazilians do walk slowly. Guys, let me just get through a couple more of these. Renata Barcelona, she said, ha ha ha, Phil, that ghosting thing is big here, and it's on some God level here. So great video, really listening to you guys talking and feeling completely involved. So thank you, Renata, for that comment. We got Dylan.
Yeah.
Dylan made a good point, Pete, because you had mentioned, he said, regarding comments around 1 hour, 40 minutes, so thanks for listening. He went all in. There's a Guarani community in the city of São Paulo, Barragem, and many indigenous communities along the periphery of São Paulo throughout the Litoral, Baixada. Their presence is purposely ignored and downplayed. And he's totally right. And in fact, I had mentioned last week that I want to get John on, Beverly, our friend John, because he does all these hikes. And I've done a hike with him. And in fact, we went to this Guarani community because that was the guy that guided us through the hike. And then inside the forest, we actually ran into, well, I shouldn't say ran into, but we met up with these Guarani folks. They were actually the ones that gave us a place to sleep through the night. But I did open up here. We also have a Guarani community in Jaguaré, which is this very famous peak that you have in São Paulo. It's the highest peak in São Paulo. I've climbed it a bunch of times, and I love it there. It's one of my favorite places. So you have the Guarani community there. There's the Pico de Jaguaré right there.
Nice.
Been there a bunch of times. Really nice. You've probably seen it, Pete. Whenever you're on a bus, I mean, just look out the window, and you can see it from almost everywhere in the city. The peak is this big mountain in the background. So you got that, and then the one that he was talking about is this one right here. Let me just share like this now. And it's that one that said, did you know that there's a Guarani tribe in Sao Paulo? So there's the one
Mhm.
in Paralheiros, and it's got
Mm.
1.2 thousand Guaranis. Um, and there you go. They're just living off the land. So, yes, they are still some around here. But I believe what Pete was trying to say is that, for the most part, they Brazil did a good part at exterminating a lot of the
in
indigenous.
in in this part, in this
Yeah,
part,
this part of
in the northern part of the country, and in the western regions, there's definitely a lot more. But compared to Canada, where like I don't know what the percentage is, but we still actually have a lot of living Aboriginals in Canada. Here, they're very regionalized.
hmm And then we got two more comments here. We got Vladimir Valdgreen. He said, great video with a lot of great points. Sometimes it's great to see the positives, but you can't ignore the negatives. That is a recipe for disaster. Great advice. And Neil Christensen. Bob Marley's father was white, Brit, and his mother was a black Jamaican woman. So I think we were talking about race mixing here in Brazil. So thank you guys for not only listening, but commenting. And I know our podcast broadcasts run kind of long. So, if you're not on live, we do welcome you to listen throughout the week and comment. Love to read the comments, both positive, negative, things we can improve. We really do this show we do it for ourselves, but for you too. And what is happening? That's what we want to talk about here real quick, is what is happening in this wonderful country that we live. And I got one little bit of news. And Beverly, I don't know if you've heard anything about it up in the US, because Beverly, by the way, is in Los Angeles. We'll get deep
Nice
into this.
town, nice town.
We'll get deep into Beverly Land. We just let her stay on because she's got the Beverly card. Usually we do our little news section first and then we invite the guests on. But she's got the I can do what I want card. So she's hanging out with us. And this was the big news this weekend. Huge protest against Bolsonaro in around Brazil, but on Paulista, really
Yeah,
big.
there's one in Jundiaí as well.
Oh yeah, united a lot of people as Brazil reaches 500,000 deaths, or has reached 500,000 deaths due to the
Oh,
coronavirus.
really? Wow, I lost track at like 136. I've been sleeping.
Oh no, it's just the numbers keep going up. I mean, they're finally, like a year late, rolling these the vaccines out, so the numbers
Vaccines.
are going
Yeah.
down a little bit. But main crux of it is, one, they want impeachment for Bolsonaro, and that's why we get the Bolsonaro genocide, Bolsonaro.
Yeah.
And as you can see by the color of the march, it's also a very pro Lula, pro,
Yeah.
leftist protest too.
And the dudes
So,
trying to impeach him are like the most corrupt people in the fucking Senate. So
but that's
it's,
always the way, man. Good luck trying to find a
yeah.
non-corrupt person in the Senate. It was the same
Yeah.
with Dilma's impeachment. I don't know if that's
Yeah.
an argument for or against impeachment. Good luck finding a non-corrupt member of Brazilian government. But that's what's happening. It's the tide has changed for Bolsonaro. Maybe imagine a year or
Look,
2 years ago, them trying to do an anti-Bolsonaro protest. The left was dead, Pete. Remember, 2 years ago, the left,
yeah.
bah, and now they're
No,
back.
it wasn't dead, but it wasn't this big.
Well,
But
they
I don't
would.
see this as a serious threat to Bolsonaro. I mean, first of all, let's look at the sheer idiocy of this. Why do they hate him? because of all the coronavirus deaths. So what are they doing? They're like fucking clustering in large public groups. Like that's why you're all fucking dying, morons. It's not, Bolsonaro would actually love for people to be out celebrating and doing carnival and everything, but he's been cock-blocked by state governors. He's not actually directly responsible for anything through any other reason but his attitude, which has been very cold-hearted and very dismissive. But in terms of policy, you can't actually put any blame on him. If you want to put blame, shit like this is it, man. You got like tens of thousands of people clustering in the streets. That's what's going to get you sick.
Well, I disagree a bit because of his negligence to get things going at the very start with buying these vaccines, getting,
right.
I mean, it's embarrassing. The excuse that one of his ministers used, he said, "Oh, we didn't respond to Pfizer because we had a computer virus." And it's like, what? And so he's tried to wash his hands clean and put all the blame on the governors. And I was even confused about that because there was because what it seemed like was the Supreme Court said, the state government is responsible, and so he can't do anything. But that's not exactly what they said. What they said was, the federal government, can act, but the state governments can also act. Not
right.
Not the federal government can't do anything, and then the state governments are the only ones responsible. So he used that. He kind of turned that around to say, the state governments are kind of doing what they want and my hands are tied. But really, he's not been for trying to get things rolling as far as the vaccines, even just public health announcements, Pete. I mean, it's recent now because he's turned his image around a little bit as the guy. We're on the forefront of fighting the virus. That's because his numbers are down. So now all of a sudden he's asking everybody to forget a whole year of him saying, "Oh, it's just a little grippy, a little flu. It's just this. There's not going to be that many deaths," to the point where he even downplayed the coronavirus as if it wasn't even real. And then every couple months, as his approval ratings kept going down and the death toll kept going up, he's changed the tune a little bit. And now his tune is, we're getting as many vaccines out there as possible.
They are. I'm looking at the numbers now. I get my dose on Wednesday, by the way. I get my first dose. But Brazil is 11.5% fully vaccinated. And I'm sure the number in Sao Paulo is a lot higher because Dory has been all over that shit. But I mean, Canada, people who've had both shots, they're at like 4%. So 11.5 is actually pretty good when you consider the population.
It's fucking great, Pete. It's fucking great.
Yeah. 87 million doses given. Fully vaccinated, 24.2 million. So that's like 2/3 the population of Canada, fully vaccinated in Brazil. So yeah, the shit is rolling.
The part that's frustrating is, man, imagine if we had done that, a year ago. That's the part that's upsetting. It's like it took this long. Even Trump, he was kind of anti this, anti that, but he even flipped that real quick. He maybe spent a month or maybe two in the whole the China virus and go out. We're not going to. But then he changed that tune quick. But
the U.S. is in like the 40% fully vaccinated, aren't they?
Yeah, Bolsonaro held on to this belief for a very long time that the coronavirus wasn't really as dangerous as it was, and yes, it's not like Black Plague level, but it's it's pretty intense. It's done a lot of damage, and vaccines. Instead of getting the vaccines, he's busy doing that chloroclina, whatever the fuck.
Bleach.
Yeah, the bleach and all this other stuff, and it's like, dude, So I mean, his cabinet, his whole government is being investigated now for negligence during this whole period because of things like that. Because of the fact that they got offers, Pfizer, they gave them like a 50% off deal,
Yeah.
to buy these
Yeah.
vaccines because Brazil is considered a what's the word now? Like I forgot the word in English now. Like when you're standard bearer, whatever, for
Yeah.
vaccinations around the world. If you go back into other pandemics that have passed through the world, Brazil's been on the forefront. It's gotten that shit, done quick. We got the Butantan Institute. We can make our own vaccines. So
Yeah.
Pfizer's like, come on, let's get things going. And no, no,
Yeah.
no,
The
no.
Institute of Butantan doesn't have a good track record though. They had like a dengue virus, or a dengue vaccine, I should say, that apparently failed miserably. It like killed a bunch of test subjects and shit.
Well, that's why they do the testing, but it's
Yeah,
still,
exactly.
but still a lot of negligence. I still feel it's a lot of negligence on his part. I get the fury of these people, and they're out there, and they actually, during the promotion for the protest, they made it very clear, like, wear your masks, do as much hand sanitizing as possible, blah 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 blah. Okay, yes, you can still go on the hypocrisy card of them being out there uh, together when they're saying, "Hey, this guy fucked us up due to his uh, policies of not telling people to do this or telling people not to do this." But at least, if you see pictures of most of the protesters, they're wearing their masks. They're trying to have some type of protocol, which is different than Bolsonaro and his motorcades that he's been having, which is bizarre. His weird motorcades. But that's what's going on, people. We're getting to that
Yeah.
22 election. It's going to be fire. Lula versus Bolsonaro.
Lula again?
Maybe. I'm not 100% convinced Lula's even going to be able to run, let alone actually do it.
A criminal can run?
He's clean.
He's not.
Clear.
He's technically clean. He's technically clean because he didn't.
Technically?
He did. Yeah, he didn't get the proper appeals process, which was rewritten especially for him by judges that he appointed.
Ah, oh, okay.
Yeah, so he
Go
could
ahead.
actually run, but I wouldn't bet money on it
I don't know, man.
because he's
There's
fucking
no other
old
name.
too, man.
Yeah, but
He's not in
he's
the
old.
best of
These
health.
guys, he's one of those old cachaça guys who are very old and strong. I think Craig here had asked about the serial killer. Speaking of news, this was big news. Brazil doesn't have a lot of serial killers, but when they do, they're pretty interesting. The day that the biggest serial killer in Brazil was caught in Santa Catarina, which is a state in the south of Brazil. There he is right there.
Yeah.
Pedrinho Matador, his name is Little Pete, the killer,
Great.
was, oh no, this is 2011. Oh, this is not it. No, but there was definitely a serial killer. Craig is not wrong. Craig, give us his name. Because there's definitely there was a very recent serial killer here in Brazil, but I cannot remember what his name is. So crazy times, as someone just mentioned right now. Let me see. Busca por serial killer vira disputa política. So apparently the search for this serial killer has turned into a political thing here. So they're looking for this guy for like 2 weeks. His name is Lázaro Barbosa. And politicians are using the case as like, political brownie points. I don't know. I haven't really followed it that much, but
That's
this
the
is
first I've heard of it.
yeah, first time. There he is, Lázaro Barbosa. I saw a picture of him on yeah. I want to leave Goiás and Brasilia. says Lazaro Barbosa to the family that he made victims of some type of kidnapping. So yeah, that's going on right now. But anyway, let's talk about something fun that happened. And this fun thing that happened was that our man Pete right here got to see Kiss, kind of.
Yeah, I actually saw the real Kiss in 1996 on the reunion tour, so I got to see the original four. That was
Yeah,
pretty
these are like
impressive.
kind of drunk. Oh, look, speaking of cachaça, there's the guy with the little flask in his hand.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. They're
So,
so obviously Brazilian, and they're so fat too. They were really overweight, but yeah, their show wasn't bad. Um, this bar actually, Manifesto, like there's not a lot of bars running live music shows right now, and if they do, like they start really early. um Manifesto's kind of like that right now. Showtime's at 7, it's over by 9, and they're mostly booking cover bands, but they have actually had some really big acts play there in the past. Suffocation, the American death metal band, they played this place. So, and actually the real Ace Frehley, I believe, also played as well. So yeah, it's a good little venue. It's in Ida and BB. Right now, it's mostly cover shows Fridays and Saturdays, and then they let like original bands do their thing on Sundays because Sunday's not a big going out night anyway. And yeah, they were not too bad. If you're a fan of Kiss, yeah, I enjoyed it.
I went on a little bit of a Kiss binge after this. In Beverly, are you a fan of any of this? Are you a fan?
No.
Yeah, I figured. Anyway, that was
That was
anyway.
that was a straightforward answer.
Uh, Going down some of the comments here, and then we're gonna get to Beverly and into the life. This is your life. This is gonna be one of those. This is your life moments. We're gonna bring in all your old friends, Beverly, and even the people that you don't like. They're gonna
Uh-oh.
show up on this broadcast. Vladimir says, didn't he pass up on the U.S. vaccines? Yes, he did many times. I think it was 8 in
Yes.
total, and apparently because there was a computer virus. Okay, enough of this COVID talk already. Let's get on with the show. Yes, I agree with Carol. Let's get on with the show. Crazy times. Lula's the most corrupt politician in the world.
Yeah. Hard to argue.
So there you go, folks. That's what's going on. But now let's get on to Beverly. Beverly Jean Horsey, how are
Yeah,
you?
I'm fine. I'm
Good,
doing really well.
good to have
And
you
how are
on.
things in the United States, by the way? It sounds like things are looking up there.
Yeah, especially in California, because they've lifted the restrictions. Um, so we're opening back up again, and people, well, most people are getting their shots. Black people aren't getting their shots, but the white people are getting theirs. So, because
How
we're
does that
all
work?
separated, huh?
Ah,
Well,
okay.
it's not because they're not offering the shots to blacks. They are offering the shots, free shots. If you walk into
Right.
one of the drugstores, you can get a shot. But black people are just superstitious, and they won't get it.
Distrustful.
They're just
Distrustful.
narrow minded, and so they won't get the shots.
Did you
Oh,
get
wow.
So,
yours?
huh?
You got yours?
Oh yeah, I got mine. I stood in Dodger Stadium. I don't know whether you know
Holy
Dodger
shit.
Stadium.
Yeah, I know Dodger Stadium.
Yes, for in a car for a long time to get my shot. But I got both.
Wow.
I got
The,
both of my shots.
I'm
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 not.
getting mine drop in at Metro Butanta on Wednesday. Like
yeah, I saw
seriously,
that.
there's no lineup. You just show up and you give them your passport, and if you're the
Mhm.
age that they're vaccinating, which I am, they'll give you a poke as long as you have your CPF and your proof of address.
We didn't even have to have. Well, yes, we did. We had to. Well, at the time I got mine, I had to make an appointment and all that stuff. That was kind of bureaucratic, but I got through because I was a senior. But now anybody can get them. Even 12-year-olds and up can get
Holy
him.
shit.
So
Yeah,
Beverly's getting ready to get back to Las Vegas because I know she's a big Vegas girl.
I was invited, but I didn't go. I'm kind of a hermit now. I don't know what's wrong with me. I
Because you
didn't.
get
I
used to
didn't.
it. You get
How,
caught up
how,
in staying home, and then it's tough to get out. I was the same.
yes,
It is. It is very
yes.
tough.
Yeah, it took
Yes, I
me a
won't.
while to
I
like.
won't go out. I won't go out unless I definitely have to go out. But I do have a novidade. I do have. I do have something exciting to say. My husband asked me to go to Las Vegas with him
And
so we can have sex.
so you can have
You
sex?
can't have sex in California?
Well, I think he wants to make it special
Oh,
because we have
Okay.
that's
we
good. Post-COVID sex would be wonderful.
well actually we haven't been together. What when I went to Brazil it was 1990. The last time we were together was like 1985.
Oh my God,
Damn.
that's gonna be a long time coming, Beverly. You're gonna make sure you protect yourself. My goodness, that'll get you out though. That's good. So there you go. So your Portuguese is already slipping out. You already slipped out a little bit about when you got to Brazil, which is 1990. So long time
1990.
expat.
That's the year I graduated high school, man.
I know.
Oh, I told you were a youngster.
I
I
was
guess I
11,
am.
10 or 11 years old. But Beverly, give us a little bit of the back history. So you're originally from where? Because you were
I
born
was
in the
born.
South, right?
I was born in Detroit, Michigan.
Okay. So
Oh,
you
nice.
born and raised in Detroit?
No, not Ray. Well, I stayed in. I was born in Detroit. My mom and dad didn't had problems, so then they sent me to Alabama to stay with my grandparents.
Okay, I
So
knew
I
there was a
stayed there
South
a
in there
few
somewhere.
years. And then my mom went after she divorced and married again. We went back to Detroit. And I stayed there till I was 13. You're talking about years and years ago. And
Yeah.
from
George Wallace
13,
times?
I came to California. And
You
I've been
came to
living
California. Do you remember what year that was?
1963.
1963. Different world, different time. So then
Yes.
because you got a little bit of a Southern drawl. I think you picked it up when you were down south.
So you were in Alabama pre-George Wallace, is that correct?
I was a little girl. I was
Right.
6 years old. And I don't know who was president when I
Yeah,
was in.
governor.
Okay, because when I went to high school here in California. When I graduated, I went to Tennessee, Jackson,
Okay.
Tennessee, for college, and that was the time when John F. Kennedy died when I was still in high school, and Martin Luther King Jr. died while I was in Tennessee. He was in
Oh, boy.
Memphis, and I was in
Nice.
Jackson. Yeah.
What a
So I
place.
tried to get there. I tried to get to Memphis, but they closed off the roads. I couldn't get there.
Oh, wow.
I can
Uh,
imagine. Dangerous to try to get
then
there.
and then after college, well, not even after college, they threw me out of college in Jackson, Tennessee,
Why?
because one summer I came back to California and it was Black Power, natural hairdos, hairstyles, and all of that. Do you remember that?
Yes. Well, I don't remember
We
it. I know
weren't
of.
alive then, but we've seen the A&E specials.
Well, anyway, yeah, you're right. So I was in an all-black college in Tennessee because the segregation and thing. I was in an all-black college. I came back to Tennessee, to Jackson, Tennessee. The college was Lane College in Jackson, Tennessee, and I came back there with an Afro hairdo. And the principal got word to the principal that I had a natural hairdo. And he told me if I didn't change my hairstyle, black now, I didn't change my hairstyle, I would have to leave the college. And my only response was, well, do I get my money back, And he goes, every penny of it.
Oh boy.
So I'm like, okay. So I left Lane College. I was a junior at that time. So I left Lane College and I went to Clarksville, Tennessee, where it was Austin Peay State University. And that's where it was an all white school.
Oh, wow.
But they didn't care about my hair. So I changed my hair back to the way it was. Anyway, I got involved with the soldier, got pregnant, and I dropped out to have the baby, came back to California. I had my first son.
And is this with the husband that wants to do you in Vegas? Another husband?
No. The soldier
got deployed.
Yeah, he disappeared when I told him I was pregnant.
Oh boy.
So it was me and the baby on our own when I got back to LA. And but this son ended up being my rock, because when he's the only one that I can actually depend on right now if I'm ever in need. So thank God I got this son. Anyway, so that's what I say about getting abortions, sometimes you don't know what the future might hold for you when you're getting rid of these babies, because you might need them one day. And for this, I'm grateful that my son is still alive, that my son's doing well, and that everything that I have now in this apartment is due to my son, this son that I had, that I thought about getting an abortion. But if it weren't for him, I wouldn't even be here now. So that was that. I had my son. I kept going back and forth to school, blah, 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 yada, 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 until finally 15 years later, I finally got my bachelor's of science degree. And then I at the time that I broke down, I was working at Northrop. I lost my job. I got laid off. I got started on drugs. And that was one of the biggest challenges in my life.
This was in California, yeah?
Yeah. Because crack hit California hard.
Oh, yeah. I remember being in Los Angeles at the height of the crack epidemic. I tried it. It wasn't for me. But I did at least,
How did you ever stop? Anyway.
I don't know, man. It makes you feel all dirty and shit afterwards. It's like you can't shower enough to get that nasty feeling out of you.
Well, anyway, I got hooked in it.
So then in the 80s? We're jumping to the 80s now?
We're talking about 80s now.
Mm-hmm.
And because it took me I had already gotten married to this husband that I told you about. We got married. Oh, I had already had my other two sons by him. And then I got hooked on drugs. So, not on drugs, on crack. Because
Yeah, there's a difference. Yeah,
I tried marijuana. It made me eat up LA, so I didn't like marijuana. And that was about the only drug I actually, those are the only two that I actually tried. Somebody tried to skin pop me with heroin, but it didn't take, and I didn't want it anyway. But anyway, so I got hooked, and then I had to go into rehab, of course. I tried 2 rehabs when I was on my job. So naturally, my job found out that I was on drugs because I had gone to rehab twice.
Yeah, that will happen.
And so I lost that job, that good job at Northrop. It was Northrop Aircraft that I worked for. And then, and I was going up, because at that time we had computer programmers, remember? No, yes. You don't remember. You guys were kids.
Yeah, but those were the careers we were training for.
Exactly.
Never got.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. So you had to take all these languages, assembly language, COBOL, Fortran, all these languages, to learn to be a computer programmer. So that's what I was trying to do. And I got pretty successful.
Oh, losing Beverly.
Yeah, she cut out a bit there.
She'll be back around. So, guys, we are talking to Beverly. She's giving us the real deal story here, like no filter.
Yeah, we haven't even gotten to Brazil yet. I'm sorry for people who are tuning in to hear stuff about Brazil, but Beverly's backstory is actually quite fascinating. Takes us back to a time before most of us were born and a place that many of us are not familiar with. So it's good to have this context.
But anyway,
okay. Yes.
She's back. She's back.
It was only a few years later that I got to Brazil.
Okay. Yeah, that's true. Yeah. Married in 85 and in Brazil by 1990. And you didn't take your husband. Is that correct?
She didn't take her husband. So this is the question I always ask to guests is why Brazil? Like, how did Brazil even come onto your radar?
Yes. So, I went, so since those other rehabs didn't work, I went to a Christian rehab. And the pastor asked me if I wanted to come to Brazil and be a missionary. And I looked at it as a sign of God. Actually, it was a sign of God. And I said yes. So I came to Brazil in 1990 as a missionary. Very, very hard time, very tough time in Brazil because I had no money. When I got to Brazil, I had $26 in my pocket.
Oh boy. And Beverly, if I'm not mistaken, Brazil, like that's when our family moved out. We moved out of Brazil like in 87, 88, because Brazil was just going through economic, like you think it's bad now. Brazil was just a mess in the late 80s, early 90s. So I can only imagine, how your experience coming down here.
I found it refreshing.
Where did you land?
Oh, well, see, I lived with the pastor of the church that I was affiliated with. The church was taking care of him and his family, but they weren't taking care of us. The other 3 missionaries that were there, we had to fish on our own. But the house that they gave the pastor and his wife was big enough to house us. It was in Guarulhos, in that chic area in Guarulhos, near Lago dos Patos.
So you were out there. You were not exactly in the city center.
No, not yet.
Not yet.
Right.
But
Yeah, not yet. It's a long story.
yes,
Yeah.
but guys, for those that don't know, Guarulhos is this. It's actually a really big city, but it's like the next city after São Paulo, kind of. If you're
It's
going,
where the
correct?
international airport is.
Yeah, where the
Yeah,
international airport is. I guess it's
yeah.
going east. I guess it's east of São Paulo.
It
I'm bad with
is,
my.
It,
yes.
wherever
Yes,
the
but
airport is, that's where Guarulhos is. Yes.
yes.
So, yeah. So we lived in a big house. The only thing is, I ain't had no money. I had like a poundzinho. How do I say French bread?
Oh,
Two
that
French
the
in
little
the
rolls.
morning for coffee.
Yes.
Okay, two French breads in the morning, a cup of coffee, and then they sent me to this vacant church to babysit the church, and then I came back that evening, and if there was enough food left, then I would have dinner. So didn't have money to wash my clothes, didn't even have money to buy toilet paper.
Oh, wow.
And so I finally wrote my mom and told her, I'm suffering here. I don't have money. So she would send me $20 a month, and I would buy my toiletries.
Wow.
And that's how I survived the first 9 months. I started learning. I didn't learn a lot of Portuguese because I was babysitting the kids at the time.
Right.
The pastor's kid.
And how did you deal with the legalities? Like, what were the requirements as far as visas and long-term residences?
I was illegal.
Okay. Yeah, I can relate to that.
For a long time. So finally, make a long story short, after my term as missionary, the pastor gave me an alternative. Oh, you can continue to be a missionary, or you could go home, but I didn't have money to go home, or you can be a member at the church. And I said, and work. So I said, I'll be a member at the church and work. So that's when I started teaching.
Did that get you your legal status, or does that come later?
Nope.
No. Okay. So still illegal, but now at the church and working.
What happened was the pastor tried to get my legal status. Okay.
Beverly, before you say that, tell Pete in the audience, because I think you told me this once, that you used to have to go like across the border, right? To like renew.
That's what I was gonna get to. What happened was he hired this lawyer. The pastor hired a lawyer, and what happened? No, that's not why he the reason why he hired the lawyer, because there were two more missionaries besides me. There were two more, so there were three of us. So what happened was we went to this church. We were sharing a church, and he and two pastors got in a fight, not physically fight, but
a disagreement,
an argument, about what was going on at the church. So we went back one day. We were on our way to a rally. So we went back to the church. I don't know, one of the missionaries wanted to pick up some stuff. So we went back to the church, and this group of people attacked us. Men. And so got in a fight with one of the missionaries. So the other one was screaming out, "We got him," in Portuguese. We got him, call the police. So we're like, the missionary's name was Marvis. It's like, Marvis, get out of here. They're going to call the police. Come on, hurry up. We got to leave. So we finally got Marvis back in the car. And by the time we pulled out, the police had blocked us off.
Good Lord. All right.
Took us down to the station.
Oh boy. So go ahead. I'm sorry.
Took us down to the station, and we and wanted our passports. Of course, we didn't have them. The pastor had them. So they had to call the pastor, have him come down, bring our passports. Found out we were all illegal. And and
Listen
so
carefully, Pete.
they actually wanted to deport us right there. Now, the missionary Marvis had already gotten in trouble with the police before. Somebody shot him, tried to take his guitar. So they knew him. They said, "Don't we know you?" Anyway, not enough about Marvis. Marvis was a character.
Yeah, enough about Marvis.
Anyway, so they tried to deport us straight from the police department to the airport. So they took us to the airport, but the airline wouldn't accept us because we didn't have any money to buy a ticket.
That nowadays they will actually pay for your ticket.
And you just have to, in those days they wouldn't.
Yeah, you just have to pay them back if you ever want to come back to Brazil.
Yeah, well, those days they would not pay for our ticket. So then, guess what? They took us down in São Paulo to the federal police. But it was a Saturday. The federal police was closed. So they gave
federal police horror stories. We got to have an episode on just federal police horror stories. Well, I'm going to add that one to the list.
So they gave us a piece of paper and telling us we had to come back on Monday. So they let us go, right?
Oh, God.
And so, being good missionaries, we said, okay, we're going to go back on Monday, like good missionaries would. And we did. And so we did. And the federal police stamped our passport. You got 8 days to get out of Brazil. 8 days to get out of Brazil. You too. 8 days to get out of Brazil. And that's when the lawyer came in. Pastor got us a lawyer. We went to Paraguay, which we were out of Brazil, right?
Right? Yeah.
We went to Paraguay, and then the lawyer hooked up some stuff in Paraguay and got us 45 days legally back in Brazil. So we went back to Brazil, except for Gilbert. Gilbert had a Mexican passport. And they don't accept Mexican passports in Paraguay. They don't like Mexicans. So they told Gilbert, no, you got to go back to Mexico. And Gilbert's like, but I don't live in Mexico. I live in the United States. No, Mexican passport, go back to Mexico. So you wouldn't let him in Paraguay. But we snuck him in anyway. Wow.
You snuck him in?
Yeah, we got him in there. And we got him to
It's easy to sneak Mexicans into countries, so
I agree. Even fake Mexicans with just the passport.
Just the passport. He was no more Mexican than I am. Anyway, I mean, he had that Latino type look, but he could have passed for a Brazilian, whatever. Anyway, so we got our passports stamped 45 days, even Gilbert and Marvis and me. We got our passports stamped for 45 days, and we came back into Sao Paulo. Well, actually, at that time we were in Guarulhos, and then after 45 days were up, we went back to the federal police, asked, and they gave us 30 more days, and that was good. And then after that 30 days was up, we went back to the federal police again, and they said, we're giving you 30 more days, but don't come back here. So we got the 30 days, and we didn't go back. So then after 30 days, we were illegal again. In the meantime, a lot of things happened. I started teaching and going from house to house teaching. And then the amnesty came. And when the amnesty came, I got legal. And because I hadn't been back home for like 7 years. I don't remember how many years, but it was, I think, 1999 when I finally got back to California. Everything had changed. My family didn't know me well. They didn't want to know me. And so I came back here for a little while, and then I went back to Brazil. I didn't stay here just a couple weeks. I stayed here a couple weeks, and I went back to Brazil. And I continued my teaching career because that's what I had always wanted to be in the first place. And I think that's when I taught with Susanna at NEC do Brasil, NEC Brazil. And after we got laid off from that company, I taught at CNA for a minute. No, I taught at CNA first, and then NEC do Brasil. And then after I got laid off from there, I taught at Cultura Inglesa.
Oh boy.
We're all over the place. But Beverly, let me ask you. So
you did the big schools, like the big schools that pay shit money, but you did all the name brands.
Yeah, but you know what? Cultura Inglesa don't pay. I mean, they give you excellent benefits.
Right.
But they don't pay. They pay like 10 reais, almost 11 reais an hour.
I think they pay more than that now, but not much. I think now it's up to like 23.
In those days, and so I had this house because when I was working at NEC do Brasil, I made 20 reais an hour.
Although, guys, this is back in the 90s, so with the inflation and everything, I mean, I remember even for myself, I got here in 2009, I could go out and have fun on an evening for 20, 30 reais. Nowadays, it's like, come on, if you don't have at least 50 or 60, you're not getting
I'd take 300 out for a night, man. It's not that I'm going to spend that, but it's like you want to have your ass covered.
Exactly.
Comes up.
Different times. So you just got to kind of adjust for inflation. Beverly, before you go on, so you're in Guarulhos still during this period, right?
When I went to NEC do Brasil, I was already living in Sao Paulo.
Okay, so before you get to Sao Paulo, I think it's just interesting because I always found this part of your life interesting because you have kind of like a Brazilian family, you know, Norma, and I think I met the little girl.
Little Beverly. She named one of the babies after me.
And these people that you met in here is just people from the church, or how did you get hooked up with these folks?
Yeah, well, we recruited them in the church because remember, we did a lot of evangelizing when I was a missionary.
Hmm.
So, Norma, I met in the church and all her brothers, but let's see, how many? Just her and her baby brother went to the church that I went to. Her other brothers went to another church. But we met them all. I met all of Norma's family. Even when her mama was alive, I met her.
How
And then
nice.
her mom died. That's how we really got together. Because when her mom died, I kind of adopted her, and then she came to live with me.
I got you. No, I think that's
Oh,
so cool because my Brazilian journey has been one of like creating my own family in a way. And I think
yes,
that's an important thing if you are, because the topic for the night, aside from just being Beverly's wonderful life story, it's kind of cool to hear it all. But long term expatting. So if you're going to decide to come to Brazil to stay here for a very long time, at some point you do need to build, I believe, a kind of a Brazilian network of what you want to call your family. Last
yeah.
week we were ragging on Brazilians so much about, the not committal, not this, not that. But once you do find, if you're fortunate enough to find that group of Brazilian folks that you can count on, that can become like your family. Like I have that myself with this lady, Marina Alva. My little cousin befriended her son, and then, they're like BFFs, and then they became like my little brothers, and they became an extended family of mine. Like I have no blood relation to them, but I consider them as closely as I do family. Stuff like that's important to have that. Brazilian network, I think. If you're thinking about staying here 10, 20 years, or or life sometimes takes you there, sometimes you don't plan to do that. But I think that's kind of a cool thing that you managed to do.
Oh yes, with Norma. Like I said, when her mom died, then I took her in and I sent her back to school because she had to quit school. I sent her back to school. Then I sent her to computer school so she could learn the skill. Wanted to send her to college, university, but we didn't get that far. Um, then she married, and then now she has a family. And then when I needed her, she took me in a couple of times. I lived with her before I left Brazil. I was living with her.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like I don't know whether you've seen the Facebook picture where you see us all together, one big group. All of that is family,
Mm-hmm.
uh, and they like adopted me as family. So
Yes.
um, if it weren't for them, I don't know where I would have been. I still would have survived. I'm a survivor.
You
But
are.
I wanted to say the thing is that kept me in Brazil so long was the family, were people that really seemed to care about me, and I saw a difference in the way people were treated in Brazil than they were treated in the U.S. You know, I'd see black and white together on the streets talking and laughing and having a good time. And in my teaching career I taught rich, you know, not so
Mhm.
much poor because they didn't have money,
Yeah,
but
poor people don't have money.
I taught rich people and they didn't seem to mind my color. I think I only came in contact with one person who didn't like me because of my color. But most of my students were really really nice to me. I mean, they didn't invite me anywhere, but they were nice. They were cordial to me, respectful to me when I'd go teach them. And really, that's the difference. That's what really kept me in Brazil, were the people that I taught, um, and the people that I knew, and the way that they treated one another. Uh, and I was in like the reason I never did go back into that drug culture because I was never in contact with that drug culture.
Mm-hmm.
So, um, and I was happy. I'm
Yeah.
still happy. I'm happy now too, but I was really, I really loved the life that I led in Brazil. Even though every year I had to move. Every year they would kick me out of their house, but no problem. I'd always find another house.
Right.
Yes,
Um,
I want to
that's
say that you.
go
Sorry,
ahead.
I just want to get this in because it's way back and I'm going to forget. But you were so lucky with the police, man, because Brazil is very forgiving in that respect. Bureaucratic, but like in China and Thailand, you overstay your visa, they'll throw your ass in jail if you can't pay. Like, and then they'll deport you and they'll charge your government for it. So you got really lucky there. Right
yeah,
time, right place, right circumstances.
yeah.
Well played, my girl. Well played.
Well, it wasn't me. It was God. Because hey, I couldn't have done that by myself. But
No,
anyway,
no. Right time, right place.
but it was fun being in Brazil. It was fun. Usually people liked me, and I liked them.
So
And
let me ask you then, because so you get to Brazil, you get all the crazy missionary stuff with this church, and then so you start out in Guarulhos, you end up in São Paulo. This was maybe early 2000s, and when did you feel like, oh, I'm stable, like I think I got my jam on, like I'm doing all right? Because it was around the time I met you. You seemed like you were already there. You're like, because I met you, was it at the time it was called UNS, the school that me and John, I met John there too, in
you
Moema.
met us at Stanford, yeah, when it was
Yeah.
Stanford.
Oh, was it Stanford already when you got there?
Yeah,
Okay,
you
so I
met us
know
at
John longer than
Stanford.
you, because I knew John when it was still UNS. Um, and it seemed like you were already kind of, more or
Uh,
less got
when
everything
I,
out.
where
But
was
when
I
did you
living
start
when I
feeling
was when I worked at Stanford? I think I was living in one of those room boarding houses.
uh huh.
Yes, I was, because I remember you got sick. I had to take you to the doctor, and I was living in that boarding house at the time. You
Hmm.
remember?
Yes, I remember getting sick and going to the doctor. It was in a Climason area. Yep.
Yeah, that's where
Hmm.
I live. That's where I live when you met me.
Yes.
But anyway, besides that, so I lived in that boarding house, and Stanford wouldn't pay me enough money to live in a decent place. But okay, I made it. I didn't complain. And finally, when you left, I left. We left Stanford, I got that job with John
Oh yes.
Jerome
Uh huh.
at Net Shoes.
Mm-hmm.
And then that's when I could really afford to get my own apartment.
Yes, that little place in
Yeah,
Vergueiro.
kitchenette.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right.
And
Yeah.
Beverly, at some point here, you say you're what, 75 now? So if
I'm,
we go back
I'm 74 right now. You don't have to
74,
push the
okay,
extra
no, not
year.
gonna do that, man. I'm hanging on to 49 with like both claws. But at some point here, you must have reached I don't know what they call it in the United States, but like pension fund availability. Did that
Yeah.
like really make a difference in your situation here? It
Yeah.
must have.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
yeah.
Because they're most, except for cultura inglesa, and I only worked for them for like almost 2 years. Except for them, I I was paying the taxes and stuff like that. But all the other English schools were paying me under the table,
Yeah.
even CNA.
Mm-hmm.
So
But I
I
mean,
didn't
like
make
pensions from the U.S., like your
huh?
U.S. pension. When did that start to come in, and what kind of difference did it make in your
Oh,
quality of
so when
life?
I was 66, then I was eligible for Social
Just
Security.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Social Security. That's it.
So I think I had visited here to visit my mom when I was 66. And while I was here, I signed up for Social Security, opened up my account, and that made things a lot better too because then once I did that, I could, I had my job at Net Shoes plus my Social Security, and I was living pretty high on the hog, right, Andre?
Yeah, I can
that's when
imagine.
you were partying with all the hot boys, if I
Yeah,
recall.
yeah, I was doing really, really well, and what happened? Something happened. I was still, oh yeah, like I said, Net Shoes, of course, laid us off. So I lost the job at Net Shoes, and
when
so
was
I
when was that? What year did you get laid off by Netshoes?
Let me take a wild guess.
um,
2015.
yeah,
Yeah, I was gonna guess about the same year. The
yeah,
Dome Apocalypse.
Yeah, the apocalypse.
yeah. So when I got laid off at Net Shoes, I stopped working. I decided to retire, and I went lived with back to live with Norma in Guadalupe. So then I got word that my mom was really, really sick in the hospital. And that's when I came back here on an emergency to see how she was doing. And she wasn't doing that well. So I ended up staying. That's how I got here. That's why I'm here today.
Mm.
The
Oh,
end.
right.
The end, but
And
not
that
yet the end.
is the
Not yet the end.
story.
I still have a few questions for you about your life in Brazil. And then
Okay.
you also got to take a quiz.
Oh,
So
okay.
Mhm.
Oh,
people
one more thing before you start. While I was a missionary, I
Mhm.
did a couple of things as a missionary. I opened up rehab homes because the church that I went to, we had rehab, right? Because that's where I started rehab. And
Mhm.
so we opened up a women's home and we went out and evangelized and took in women and men who were on drugs and children who were on drugs into rehab. It was like a 24/7 thing. And so I opened up a couple of those with the church. And of course, the church wasn't paying, so I worked and supported it. And then uh, um, I opened up a phase 2 because after you leave the phase 1 part of the rehab, then you need somewhere to go to continue being sober, right? So
Mhm.
I opened up what we call reentry, and it's try to keep the women on the right track. That way they can go out and work and start a new life. So there was those things that I also did, before I became full-time teacher.
This is very
Nice.
cool. This is very cool. It's nice that you are able to take from your past experiences and add something to the country. I think that's so important, guys. And I've said this so many times on the podcast. Like, if you come to a different country, uh, don't try to act as if you're not in the country. Like, don't act like, oh, I'm still Beverly from LA. It's like, no, now you're Beverly from LA, from Detroit, but living in Brazil, and Pete still from Canada, but living in Brazil, and Phil from Philly, still in Brazil. And try to do as much within the country as you're able to do. Maybe you're not able to do a lot, but
Mm-hmm.
immerse yourself uh, if you have the means, help some folks out, which is kind of the story with Josette, that Beverly knows, my little cousin Josette,
Yes.
that's my son, basically, So, oh, by the way, Pete, we went to see Godzilla versus King Kong, dude. Sorry,
Oh, it's still
Oh,
playing. It's
it's
still
still playing.
playing.
We just had
Oh
to see it on the
shit.
big screen. Yes.
Ah,
when
Uh,
is
damn. But you
we
know what? I've seen it 3 times already, so I don't know if I
Yes.
how?
could justify paying.
Yes, he had fun with it, and he
Good,
loves
good,
Stranger
good.
Things. So he's like, oh look, it's 11 or whatever the little girl is, Millie Bobby Joe.
Yeah.
So he's a big fan of hers. But yeah, so we're not none of us here are millionaires, but the little that you can do, especially if you're in a country that's not as well off as the country you're from, do it. And and learn from the country too. I think, and that's what
Yeah.
I'm going to ask you a little bit about in a second, Beverly. Like, what has Brazil given back to you? But before that, guys, look who's here. It's Silvio Campello. I haven't heard from this guy in a long time. Real good dude. Been to his house over in Mogi das Cruzes and had some really good pizza there at Mr. Spock's Pizza, which was really cool.
Oh,
Uh,
wow. You must have been in seventh heaven.
Yeah, I was. It was fucking incredible, and it was good pizza. It was like pizza with actual like tomato sauce under it, like real American style
Yeah,
pizza.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and great dude, bass player, microbrewer, and I haven't heard from Silvio in a while. He kind of well, he did like I'm doing at the time. I'm taking a little sabbatical from social media. I'll be back, guys. But I was just going a little nuts. I thought I was going to have a nervous breakdown. I was like, I just need to get off everything. So I left all my WhatsApp groups. I didn't feel like leaving all the Facebook groups because I'm in a bunch. So I just kind of deactivated the account for a little bit. I signed in today just to post our podcast, but then I logged out immediately. So I needed a breather because that shit will drive you nuts after a while. But I guess Silvio learned that a lot sooner than I did. And so he's out there living his good life. So, Silvio, get in touch if you can. I'll drop my email in the comments. By the way, Brazil Expat Journal at gmail.com. Somebody had asked me for an email to get in touch. And I believe it's Brazil, either the Brazil Expat Journal at gmail.com or Brazil Expat Journal. I just created the email, so I forgot if it has a the before it or not. So if you want to get in touch with me, if you got an interesting story to tell and you want to be on the show, get in touch with me and we'll definitely have you on. So he's asking because Beverly was talking about John. It's not John Kirk. John Kirk's another really good dude.
Yeah.
And Beverly knows John. Yes,
Yeah.
she's hung out with John a couple
Indeed.
times.
We were all at the Taco Bell opening.
Yep.
Yes, Taco Bell brought
Yep.
us together, man. That was seventh heaven
Yeah,
for me when Taco Bell opened here in Brazil. I was like,
I
oh,
know. And Beverly
Yeah.
rocked it because she was a senior, so she could cut and head a line
I
and
know. We
get
all
everyone
piggyback
their
on
food.
Beverly. We all piggyback.
Right.
I got a funny story about that same place because we always get some perks over at that Kinoplex. Remember one time, Beverly. Speaking of Godzilla, yeah, we were gonna go see the first Godzilla movie. It
Yes,
was
we did.
Beverly and John, not John Kirk and not John that Beverly worked for, but João John. Uh, and
No.
so I ran in, I met up with John. I bought the tickets first because I had a class nearby, like around 4 o'clock. I buy the tickets. I meet up with John, take the bus to pick him up at Faria Lima to come all the way back because he didn't know where it was exactly. And in this process, I lose the tickets. I lost my wallet. Like somehow, like my pockets were too big. Not the first time that's happened. I lost tickets to the Black Eyed Peas once because I think I
Oh
went to take the
shit.
dump and it just fell out of my
I
back
know you.
pocket.
I know
So
you want to die.
I was upset. Yes. So I've been wearing tighter pants ever since. Tighter pants. So I get back. We get back to the Kinoplex, and I tell Beverly, like, I got no tickets. So we're in this very white neighborhood. and we're like, okay, we know what the deal is over here. So everybody speak English very loudly because I need to explain to this guy that I bought tickets, we just don't have them, you know, man. And this is the sucky part about black in Brazil. Like Beverly said, there is this very nice thing about, you know, you see blacks and whites on the street, blah 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 blah. But then when it comes to like
money issues,
let's actually take this person seriously, believe them, all this, that, and the third. Man, you come at somebody speaking Portuguese, they're like, yeah, okay, whatever. So we're like,
Yeah.
let's English very loudly before we get to the box office, which we did. And the minute they heard English, man, the fucking manager, like the dude came down, like the owner of the fucking movie theater, the Kinoplex, came down. He treated us like royalty. He like opened the doors early for us. He gave us a tour of the fucking cinema. He remember Beverly? Like he let us in early. Like, oh, you can sit here. But I was like, wow, what a difference a language makes. My friend Elisa, by the way, Beverly, she just sent me a message because she's like, I've always wanted to hear her story. I've interviewed her for this podcast, and she would have the same experiences when she sang at Barreto, which is the top jazz bar in, I think, in Brazil. I mean, presidents go there, you know, in the hotel. So she would have the same experience when she was singing. Nobody would, in between the sets and stuff, nobody would pay her any mind because she's just like, oh, a black woman who apparently learned some English, she can sing. But then the minute she would start speaking English, it's like, oh my God, this, dude. And she's like, I'm so done with these people. But yes, by the way, hi, Renee Adolfi, my wife, Renee Beverly. I didn't tell you, Beverly. I got married to somebody. Renee, this is your
You broke
mother-in-law.
my heart. You
What happened,
broke my
Beverly?
heart, Andre.
No,
You got married to some. Oh, okay.
Renee
She's a good
knows no
lady.
master. Renee knows no
Renee is
master.
wonderful. Renee is wonderful because Renee, you don't know Beverly. Speaking of adoption, I adopted Beverly as my mom. So, so she's your mother-in-law. Okay, and Renee, go back and listen to the rest of this interview. Really amazing story. And Beverly has been so frank and open about her drug addiction and getting shot at, or this crazy church she was in, and dealing with the federal police, escaping the country, coming back into the country, and all this stuff. So listen back. It starts at about the 30-minute mark when we start talking with her about all that stuff. So thank you, everyone who's on. Now, Beverly, let's get to it. I want to ask you just a couple more things before we test you.
We do the lightning round.
Yeah, lightning round. And we can't deport Beverly if she misses any of these questions because she's already out of Brazil. But that's the two things that I want to ask. One is, what did Brazil give to you that really, really affected and changed you, and really, that you still carry to this day? And two, living as a senior in Brazil, I've always was curious about this. Like, what were the difficulties of being a senior citizen in Brazil? Because I just look at the sidewalks and I'm like, oh my God, I don't want to be over 60 in this place.
Yeah, or the elevate, particularly Sao Paulo. Sao Paulo's got some serious elevation. Like,
yes.
I mean, I'm considerably, well, not considerably, but somewhat younger than Beverly, and I'm living where I am now because it's flat. I don't have to walk up and down hills. So this is not a senior-friendly city.
It definitely isn't. So so again, Beverly, so what did Brazil really give to you, and living as a senior in Brazil, and that decision to just leave and like, boom, I'm done with this for now?
That was my lifeline.
Mm-hmm.
If I had never come to Brazil, I wouldn't be alive. So
pretty much,
Brazil was like the city, the country that saved me. because I couldn't make it in LA. And at that time, I could not make it in LA. I didn't have the mind. I didn't have the support.
Didn't you say,
And when
Beverly,
I
one
went,
time that, didn't you, sorry to cut you off, but didn't you say one time, weren't you like with some rapper or something?
was that what?
But didn't you get with some rapper at some point?
No.
No, I thought you did. I thought you got it on with Ludacris or something like that, but go ahead.
Oh.
I think you told me
Oh,
this story,
yeah.
but you only half told it. You only half told it.
That,
And I was like,
that was the day of prostitution. Okay. We don't want to get in that, do we?
No, we don't have to hear that.
Yes, we don't have to hear, but
we don't need to, let's not get into that. Anyway, yeah, I did meet Ludacris.
But it happened. It happened.
but she did meet
But-
Ludacris, guys. So, no, but I'm only bringing this up again because I know I met Beverly.
Good way.
Yeah.
Anyway,
because
so yeah,
I met you at a different phase of your life. So obviously the country, like what you just said, it saved you because you were wild, because when you only gave me a snippet of that story. I was like, what? She's screwing Ludacris? And then
No,
I'm like, okay.
screwing. I ain't screwing. I didn't lose my crack pipe in his car.
I got
But
you.
I didn't screw him.
I got you. Yeah, so go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Anyway, that was crazy. Anyway, but coming to Brazil was like a lifeline for me because I don't. My mom told me, she was like, Bev, I have this image that one day the police is gonna call and tell me that they found you in the street dead.
Mm-hmm.
All right, and when I got into the rehab and I did my rehab and came to Brazil, my whole life changed. My whole life changed. I mean, yeah, I had hard times in Brazil, but I could deal with it. And then I met a lot of great people, like I said, a lot of supportive people, and not so much in the church, but in other churches and outside the church. I did meet a lot of supportive people, and that's what got me through. It was, like I said, it was the Brazilian people that got me through, and for that reason, I'm really, really grateful for being there. And for me, nothing else matters. Now, because you asked, because I was a senior or I was older, because I think when I went to Brazil, I was in my 40s or 50s. But anyway, Brazilian men don't like older women.
I don't know about that. Beverly, talk to Renee. Renee is a sexologist. Renee's a sexologist.
It depends on their age. Younger Brazilian
depends
women,
on their age. The
younger
boys,
Brazilian men like the older women for sure.
The young boys, Beverly, like
really?
the 20-year-olds.
Oh yeah.
I'll hook you and Renee up later. She'll
Oh, you know what? I did date a young Brazilian kid. He was 26. I was double his age.
There you go.
But he was so immature.
That's the problem.
I couldn't stay with him. I couldn't stay with him. He was so.
He's half my age and he's immature. Like that's.
Yes.
I mean, what do you expect?
But it's like the 20.
Yeah,
you're
right.
Immature for a 26-year-old, because you'd expect a 26-year-old to have something together. Like 26 is like 16 here.
Yeah.
Yes,
yeah.
but he was not. I couldn't handle it.
Did he still live with his mama?
Yes, he did. Well, not his mom.
Yeah.
I think his sister.
Okay. But yeah, he was still looking for other people to take care of him.
But anyway,
Yeah.
Beverly,
So I could handle him.
what about Senior
And
Lee?
and,
Senior Lee.
and and about seeing what?
Well, you're cutting off a little bit. Go
What?
Just a
I'm
little bit.
sorry. Tell me
continue
again.
No,
on
we got you
about
back.
Senior.
Hello?
You're
Ah,
there.
damn. There she goes.
Did she get knocked off?
No, she's just cutting in and out.
Okay.
Oh, it's my battery.
No, I
My,
don't think it's your battery, it's your connection.
Yeah, but sometimes when the battery gets low,
oh, it's my connection.
I don't
Well,
know.
I plugged it in, so it should be working.
You're back now. So go ahead. Tell us
Yeah, you're
about
back.
your experiences as a senior in Brazil, real quick, and then we got to play the quiz.
Okay, as a senior in Brazil, like I said, love life wasn't that great, but family connections was very good. I was always accepted as family in Brazil, and work. Oh yeah, work. After you get a certain age, you can't find a job in Brazil. I tried to go back, to see not CNA, but Cultura. I tried to go to alumni. Nobody would hire me. I think in basically because of my age, they wouldn't hire me. So I continued privately, and I made it okay.
I feel you. But did your age have any thing to do with your choice to go back to the US, or was it just because, hey, I got to take care of my mom and I might as well just stay here?
Actually, I had planned to come back to Brazil after I made sure my mom was fine, and I
Mm-hmm.
had planned to go back, come
Yeah,
back. Now I'm getting bad as the Brazilian. But anyway, I had decided, let me make sure my mom's okay because I didn't even pack. I didn't pack everything. I left
mm,
most of my things in Brazil, and when she passed away, this opportunity for this apartment that I'm in now opened up, and I stayed. But it wasn't a plan.
I got you. Well, everything kind of has worked out in your favor, and you might get some, uh, some lovey-dovey time in Las Vegas to top it off.
Yes.
So you never know. Although, Pete, you've never seen Beverly's photos with those guys in Las Vegas. Oh my goodness, she does not waste any time. I love those. Remember those pictures you showed me with the big like
Two packs with the shirts off, and I'm sitting in one of them's lap. Yeah.
yes. So, but I think your husband wants to cut in on that action. Anyhow, it's time.
Alrighty.
It's time for the expat challenge. And it's a little quiz that we play, the infamous quiz, as Renee said here, the infamous quiz. And kind of lightning round, Beverly. We're just going to ask you some questions. You give us the first thing that comes to mind. Don't worry about right or wrong answers. And Pete, are you ready there?
Oh, bollocks. No, I'm not. Actually, I had the window all open, but it closed. So just give me a second to find the questions
I can
again.
put it in the broadcast studio. I'll put the questions in the broadcast studio. Wait up.
All right.
Let me put it in the private, in our private chat here.
Yeah, I
And
don't know
then
how that closed, man, because I had
I'll
them
start.
open in
I'll
Messenger.
start, Beverly,
All
by
right.
asking you, what is the best thing about Brazil? What is the best thing about Brazil?
The people.
The people who
All
saved
right.
you.
There you go. All right. And the worst thing about Brazil.
Worst thing about Brazil? That's difficult.
You
I guess
didn't listen last week, did you?
I did. I guess maybe the bureaucracy.
That's a good answer.
That'll get you going. Yeah, that'll drive a cow mad. Uh, Beverly, what's your favorite Brazilian food?
Oh, now see, that's a loaded question because it's so many things I love about the food, Brazilian food. Um, I love feijoada. I love pastel. I love what was those triangular things? Um,
It's fia.
um,
Espias.
Fias. Oh, I just love Brazilian food because it's always fresh. Everything like when Norma would cook, it would be fresh food every day. You go to the padaria, fresh bread
Mm-hmm.
every day. Uh, Squeezed orange juice right there in front of you. Coffee. Oh, I love everything. The coffee. I love everything about food.
There's the
Look at
pastels,
that.
guys. These are very
Oh,
Yeah.
popular in the street fairs. Actually, I have a video of a street
Yeah.
fair that I'm
And
gonna
you
show.
got
yeah,
you got
yeah.
like
I
two
love.
different versions too. You got like the street fair version that are really light, but you also have these restaurants that specialize in just fucking loading them. If you've
Yes,
Yeah,
ever
I
been to
like.
one of those places where, yeah, where it's like a 12 AL pastel, but it is stuffed to the max, man.
yes.
And it had, and the part I liked that was so scrumptious about it was the egg in the middle of it. I don't know
Oh
why,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
but it was just the egg, and you keep eating until you get to that egg. I just love even the rice and the beans. I loved it.
Yeah.
Vladimir here says he's already struggling trying to find a bank to write my letter. Although I'm not
He's
sure I
trying to
understand
find.
that. What letter? Explain that to us. But I think he's talking about the bureaucracy here. And yes, the
Yeah.
pastels look amazing and they are amazing. Although, pro tip, guys, what Pete said is wonderful, but don't confuse that with eating a pastel at like a little barzinho, like a little bar. Those are
No, no.
hard. The ones that have
Let
been
me
sitting
be
there
there
all
for a
day.
few days.
Yes, but if you go to like an actual pastelaria, like a pastel shop,
Uh-huh.
like they make them on the spot and they fill them
The
with like
stuff.
everything, and it'll be double the price that you pay at the feira, but they're great. Buy those, or go to the feira, which is the street fairs that most neighborhoods will have on the weekends.
Yeah.
Sometimes in the
And
middle of
Yeah,
the week.
Wednesday is actually pastel day.
Yes. No, some
yeah.
places have in the middle of the week. All right, Beverly. I believe it's
And
on
yeah,
me.
this is my turn. Least favorite Brazilian food.
Least favorite Brazilian food?
Yeah.
Yes.
Hmm. I don't think I've ever eaten anything that sticky stuff. What is that? It was a fruit. It's sticky, green or yellow.
Not jaca. Is it jaca?
Yeah,
That
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Oh
That
God,
that
that is horrible. Yes, I know people that really like jaca.
yeah, that
Not
was the
right
least
here.
favorite.
This is disgusting. But there's a lot of people that are big fans of jaca. Speaking of that lady Marinalva, who's like my adopted
Yeah,
family,
that's it. That one. Yes.
first time I
I,
went to
I
their house, she gave everybody a bowl of jaca, and I just ate it to be polite. Oh my God, I ate it out of politeness, and my little cousin too, because he knows better. And we were just like, oh, never again. This was disgusting.
I
But a
don't
lot
think
of
I've
people
had
love
that.
Jaka. And actually,
no, I don't.
I've
That's one. That's what my least favorite. Everything else, almost everything else, I can eat.
oh yeah,
That I like, but this one it didn't quite do it for me.
Beverly, do you realize this is? I've actually seen a few YouTube videos from the U.S. now that they're talking about jackfruit, using it as like a supplement for meat. Like making barbecue jackfruit. I'm like, oh my God. But yes, big fruit here in Brazil, guys. It's on you, Pete.
Yeah.
No,
They,
that
they,
is
Oh,
they,
it's on
yours.
they
Beverly.
get they make me sick with the health food with the vegan and the health food crap that they serve that they trying to get everybody into.
Beverly's holds no punches, guys. So
Yes. Fuck the vegans.
fuck the vegans.
Yeah,
Anyway,
I didn't lose any weight on that vegan crap, and it's more expensive.
it is more expensive. I'll give you that. Anyway, best. I'm sorry. Favorite
No.
drink, Beverly. What is your favorite Brazilian drink? Alcoholic or non-alcoholic?
Guarana, dum, dum,
What?
That
Guarana.
is an awesome choice. I love Guarda.
I love Guarana.
The famous. Whoops, I wrote that
Um,
wrong.
alcoholic.
Yeah.
What's my favorite alcoholic? Oh yeah, caipirinha.
Yeah, Caparinas are great.
Yes, and especially
But
when you
yeah,
drink them out of a condom. Remember when we had that?
Yeah.
We were
I
downtown,
don't
Pete.
want to hear this story.
We're downtown, and this guy's selling these caipirinhas inside of um,
A
little.
little plastic thing.
Yeah, it
It
looked like
wasn't
a
Right.
condom, but I don't know.
it
Uh,
wasn't bad at
Yeah.
all.
Well,
it was
condoms do hold a lot of liquid, actually. They'll hold up to like 2 liters of water, apparently.
yes. Real quick here, just for the Vitamex Visa, I need a U.S. bank to write and sign a letter saying I make over $2,000 a month, and that said bank can transfer that monthly to a Brazilian bank. So far, no major banks will draft that letter. Oh God, they acknowledge that I have that income, but they still want that letter. Yeah, we talked a little bit about that last week.
Oh,
Yeah.
It's
This is my present day life, Vladimir. This is my present day life. But unlike you, I'm doing nothing about it. I am pretending it isn't happening.
Pete, go ahead. Number 6.
Yes, number 6. Best place you have visited.
In Brazil.
Yes.
You know what? I didn't visit a lot of places, but I guess I went to Rio and I got to go to Cristo Redentor and Sugarloaf Mountain. And I think maybe that was, oh no, the best place I've ever visited, I think, was Ilha Bela. Loved it there.
Oh yeah, Ilha Bela is a very nice place. Ilha
But
Bela.
maybe because I got to stay in a really, really chic place. One of my rich students took me there with her. Well, several times she took me. Let's see, Ilha Bela. She took me to Ilha Bela. She took me to Composto Jordão because she had a apartment there. She had that house in Ilha Bela. My student, San Sebastian. So those are nice places to visit. I went to Ubatuba.
Ubatuba is very gorgeous. Yeah, these are all beaches in the north of São Paulo state, not.
Yes.
But I did go to Rio, and I've also gone to Curitiba, even though I didn't get to see a lot of Curitiba.
Yeah, I'm thinking about going to Curitiba next month. Yep.
One thing I want to get in here, Beverly, I know this is lightning round. We're supposed to be super fast, but one thing that struck me listening to your story is I didn't hear of you traveling to a lot of other places. Is like Brazil the only other foreign country that you've been to, except for places that you had to go to in order to leave Brazil, like Paraguay?
Besides Mexico, I didn't like Paraguay, and I don't like Mexico. No, I didn't like Tijuana, Mexico.
Tijuana's a blast, man. It's like Disneyland for grown-ups.
But where was that? I went Mazatlan, Cabo San Lucas. I love. Yes, those places I love. Puerto Vallarta.
But Brazil was your first international experience.
Yeah, outside of,
Okay.
California and Mexico is right next to each other. But
Right.
yes,
Okay.
Canada when I was a kid, because that was 5 miles from Detroit.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. It's really
no,
close.
no. Outside of that, no, I've never traveled outside of
Okay.
any other country.
Well,
How,
that's really brave of you because Brazil, for me, like I'd lived in other countries before, and let me tell you, it prepared me for Brazil because Brazil is harder. So for you to jump in with both feet like that is amazing.
and in the
Yeah,
early 90s, different time.
Yeah, yeah,
yeah.
That was a mess back
Not
then.
knowing a word of Portuguese.
Yeah.
yes, yes.
So I was saying adios.
They love
I
that.
was
They love that.
saying gracias.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you made
Yeah,
it.
that
That's
was,
what's cool about Beverly's story, guys, is that she just puts one foot in front of the other. She just makes it,
Moves
just
yeah,
forward.
go.
but it wasn't all me. Don't worry. It wasn't all me. I could,
You
well,
had a lot of help.
I have my spiritual thing. I could made it without my spiritual guidance. No.
I feel you. Uh, by the way, Priscilla just popped in now, and she says, "Hi, I
Yes.
live in
I
Brazil."
live in Brazil. Yes. Hi to Brazil.
Hi, Priscilla. Tell us where in Brazil you are. We are talking to Beverly, and she's telling us about her life experiences before Brazil, in Brazil, after Brazil. This is just the Beverly show at the moment, which is wonderful. And we're doing like Beverly gets the pass. I mean, technically there's a lightning round, but not really like too lightning tonight. Quiz here, the expat challenge. So we just asked her the best place that she's visited, and she gave us a bunch of places. But Ilha Bela, it stood out to me. Little island. It's called Beautiful Island, Ilha Bela, which is up on the southeast coast of São Paulo state. Well, you don't have a southwest coast, but not south. Sorry, the northern coast
Yeah.
of
The
São Paulo.
west coast of Brazil is strangely
Yes.
unexplored.
So let's go next question, Beverly.
Yes.
The most overrated location or thing in Brazil could be one or the other or both.
The most overrated place or thing?
Yes.
Hmm.
Most overrated place or thing.
Thank
Hmm.
you.
I don't know. Most overrated? You know what? I don't know any place or thing overrated.
All right.
Really?
Anything that people talked up and then you went and you're like, yeah, it wasn't that great.
Nope.
There you go.
Nope.
All right.
She
I
loved it
Fair
love
all.
enough.
Brazil. I loved everything about Brazil.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
Then
All
let's
right.
move to the next question.
All right. Beverly, I have to tell you, all our previous guesses have been huge disappointments on this question. So I'm counting on you to deliver a killer answer. What is
Uh-oh.
your favorite Brazilian musician or band?
Wait, you skipped one. Wait,
Oh,
best place to chill in the city.
oh, sorry. Yes. Sorry. Yeah. Be prepared. You have some time to think about that one now.
Well,
Yes.
I'll ask number 8, and then Pete will go back to 9. So, Beverly, what is the best place that you like to hang out in São Paulo or Guarulhos? Because you spend a lot of time in Guarulhos. But what was your favorite place to just hang out and chill?
With you guys?
No, just for
Uh,
you.
oh, oh,
In general.
um, I, I used to hang out at this restaurant, Giovanni's
Okay.
in Guarulhos. Love Giovanni's.
Giovanni's in
You've
Guarulhos.
never, yeah, it's in Guarulhos.
And what was so great about it?
Oh, the food, of
Oh,
course.
look at this
There you
place.
go.
No,
Oh,
looks
I would have hung
classy,
out there
actually.
too. Oh, yeah. Oh, it's
Yeah.
the cantinas. I was showing Pete the cantinas when we were down at 13 de Mayo. It's those Italian little Italian restaurants. Ooh, all right. I could understand why you'd
Look.
hang out here.
Wow. Classy.
Yeah, I used to take the pastor and his kids and his 5 kids and pay for everybody. I used to take my friend Javon. We used to hang out there a lot.
Look at that.
And let's see, in Sao Paulo, I don't remember a restaurant in Sao Paulo or a place that I used to hang out. You used to take me down there on Augusta Street a lot. We drink beer. Well, you drink beer because I don't like beer.
Yeah,
But
Augusta is a good chill out spot. All right, go back now to Pete's
right next.
question. You had a lot of time to think about it. Go ahead, Pete. Ask that one again.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. What is your favorite Brazilian musician or band?
Fat Family.
They're good. I like Fat
Fat
Fat.
Family.
Wow, I don't
And
know them.
most people didn't like him, but I like Netinho.
Yeah, Fat Family, Pete. Kind of a soul
Is
gospel.
that Fat with a P?
No, it's a fat with an F. They were actually
Oh,
chunky.
okay. Okay.
They're
Nice.
but yeah, they sing a lot, as they say here in Brazil. Canta muito. Yeah, real good group. There they are. Fat Family. That's a good one, Beverly.
And I
Because
like him, and I like them. Well, I think they turned gospel later,
mm-hmm.
but before they weren't gospel, and I
Oh,
love Family. And I also nobody does like him but me, and that was Netinho.
Netinho. What does Netinho play? Oh, there he is. Oh, Netinho. He's like a funk. Isn't it like funk music?
No, he's not funk. He was my a
Was it
mixture, I
like
guess,
that?
with samba.
Oh, it's Axé. That Axé music from Bahia. Kind of, what's her name? Is Vete Sangalo is popular for that. That real fast rhythm. It's more than samba. Okay, cool. There he is, Netinho. I'll drop those in the comments. I know.
And what's that one
Okay.
that sing? Em cima da cama.
Oh, on top of the bed. Beverly's already beat everybody else on this answer because she actually sang some of the music. So there
Mm-hmm.
you go.
I used to sing Chino too, but now I don't remember anymore because I haven't heard it for a while.
Which one?
I used to sing some of Netinho's songs, but I don't remember. I used to sing a lot of Fat Family songs.
Yeah, no, they're good to sing and a good way to learn some Portuguese. Good way to learn some, Portuguese to
Yeah.
get laid.
Well,
Mhm.
I didn't think about it like that.
Well, it doesn't hurt, Beverly. It doesn't hurt. It doesn't hurt. All right, last question for Beverly,
Yes.
and or from the quiz here, and it's one word of advice for future visitors to the country.
One word. Future visitors.
Not one word literally, but like a piece of advice.
Yes,
All
a
right.
word of
A piece
advice.
of
Yes,
advice for
yes, I heard
people
that
who come
exactly.
to the country: always take a Brazilian friend when you're going to places you don't know.
That's good
Would
advice.
you care to expound on that?
Well, because if you're well, for in my case, I'm from the United States, Brazilians have this tendency to think you got money.
Mm.
Now, like
Yes.
I said, I came to Brazil with $26 in my pocket. I definitely didn't have money. But even if I said I didn't have money, they still thought I had money. So
Mm-hmm.
when you're going to negotiate something like rent, like anything you're gonna buy, a car, anything big that you're going to buy, take a Brazilian friend with you so that they can do most of the talking. Because
Mhm.
otherwise, they will skin you alive.
That is
That's
entirely possible.
good advice. That's very good advice, and I agree with it 100%. Um, we got okay. Vladimir said, "Yeah, great advice." And oh, we got Travelmatic up in the house. What's up, Travelmatic? You came in at the end, but those of you that came in at the end, I really, really, really um, beg you to go back and listen to this interview because it was intense. I wasn't expecting everything that came out. It starts at about the 25, 30 minute mark around there. I'll tag it later in the comments. I'll timestamp the video. And, Beverly just went in deep. She held nothing back except for some possible run ins with Ludacris, but, we won't get into that. That's for the after show. And amazing story of how, she was down in the dumps in Brazil, really saved her life. She got that call and she saw the light. Like, remember in Blues Brothers, Beverly, when the Blues Brothers go into the
Yes,
church, Brown, do you see the light? Yes, I see
yes,
the light.
that was it. Yep.
That was it. She saw the light. And Brazil was that light. And she's lived in a really amazing life. Um, she said, I'm going to wear my hair the way I want to, you know. She said, just because they were about to kick her out of university for having her afro back in the day, she
Kick me
gave
out.
zero shit. She got her money back, though. That's good. Um,
Most of it.
most of it. There you go.
He
So,
lied.
well, those people usually do. I'm joking, Peter. Uh, and so that's it. We had a great time. It's late. We're about to finish the show, but thanks everybody. Oh, look at that! Definitely, bro. Thanks, Miss Beverly Queen. You got some Queen action going on. And Beverly, this year, are you going to turn 75 this year, Beverly?
No, next year. I
Uh,
turned 74 this year.
okay, so she's still out there. She's kicking. Uh, I guess will you allow people to find you on Facebook if they want to just chat with you?
Oh yes. Oh yes. Uh, the only you just referred to the expat and so that I can give me the word so that I can accept you, because if I don't know you, I won't accept you. So just say I'm an expat and I will accept you.
Yeah, just or say you heard her on the show. So
Yeah.
her Facebook is Beverly Jean Horsey. I'll put the link to it. And she's real fun, guys. I met Beverly here in 2009, and we've been friends ever since. I stole her as my mom, and we've been good friends ever since. Thank you for listening, Vladimir, all the way through. That's really awesome. And thanks for everybody else that listens throughout the week. I know we do kind of long podcasts, but we like them long and strong. Uh, well, except for Pete. Uh,
Pete, Pete, did you go to sleep? Pete,
I don't know what
calling
happened.
Pete.
Pete's getting some drinks or something. But
Oh,
anyway,
okay.
I'm sorry, folks. I have to step out for a second.
there you go.
Oh, okay.
Anyway, that's it. That's it. There's outro music. That's action. There you go. Again, thanks everybody for listening. Please like and subscribe. We're gonna try to maybe next week talk about some dating with our friend Renee. She's in the U.S., so that's why it's a little bit difficult with scheduling. She thought she was gonna be able to do it today, but she couldn't. So we'll get her in. And I got a few guests lined up. I might take a little mini break in July because I want to visit Curitiba, but we will be back. And that's it. Thank you.
All
Thank
right,
you.
people. Thank you for listening. Very
Don't hang up,
interesting
Beverly.
show. Thanks to
Thank you
Renee.
for inviting me.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes. Thank you.
Don't hang up, Beverly.
All
Thank
right.
you.